Welcome to Book Talk. I have an outstanding, thought-provoking book for you today. It's the 2019 bestseller by Adam Higginbotham titled Midnight in Chernobyl, the untold story of the world's greatest nuclear disaster. The extensive research that went into this book was no doubt only possible after Ukraine gained independence from the Soviet Union and declassified Soviet documents. This, then, is the story of a Soviet Prometheus who was tasked with building the world's largest nuclear power plant in 1970, at a time when the Soviet economic experiment was going into reverse. The USSR was buckling under the strain of central planning, bulging bureaucracy, massive military spending, and endemic corruption. In the 16 years from inception to completion, a nuclear power plant with 4 reactors and an entire city for its workers was built on an isolated piece of land north of Kiev, near the village of Chernobyl. Viktor Bukhanov, the construction manager, had met his goals, had fulfilled their plan, and in so doing had won for himself and his men pay bonuses and orders of merit. But like all successful Soviet managers, he had learned how to be expedient. He had cut corners, cooked the books, and circumvented regulations. From inception to operation, their plan was fraught with design flaws. The graphite water reactors were susceptible to runaway chain reactions in the event of loss of coolant. The colossal size of the reactors made them difficult to operate. Systems designed to detect reactivity within the core proved unreliable, and the emergency shutoff system to prevent meltdown was cumbersome and slow. Reports of problems written by engineers never saw the light of day. Friday, April 25th, 1986, reactor number 4 was scheduled for a turbine generator test during the night shift, when demand for electricity from Kiev had subsided. Young engineer Leonid Toptunov was excited to participate in his first test at the control panel of this reactor. And then the unthinkable happened. A chain of events occurred as fuel channels failed and water circulation through the core ceased. Thermal power peaked at 12,000 watts. Steam pressure inside the reactor increased exponentially, and the temperature inside the reactor rose to 4,650 degrees centigrade. The resulting explosion, the equivalent to 60 tons of TNT, tossed the 2,000-ton biological shield into the air like a flipped coin, revealing the night sky overhead. The consequences of this disaster will be with us for millennia. But surprisingly, only 30 years later, the surrounding forests are enjoying a rebirth, and tourists are permitted back into the town of Pripyat, just a few kilometers away from the reactor. Midnight in Chernobyl is a New York Times bestseller with an 87% 5-star rating on Amazon. Adam Higginbotham is a master storyteller who has taken the tragic events of the disaster at Chernobyl and crafted a very readable human interest story. You don't have to be a nuclear physicist to understand this book. The writing is eloquently simple in its descriptions of Soviet life and of human failings. It is an astounding and terrifying narrative of man's desire to tame the atom that will leave you with much to think about long after the last page has been turned. I, too, give Midnight in Chernobyl 5 stars. Until next time, I'm Irene Koncilja.